Friday, as you may have seen looking on my wall, it was my 35th birthday. And this is going to be such an awesome thing to go through for people having the birthday celebrations and being the first week here in the UK that we're actually allowed to eat out in restaurants. Now, if you've followed a lot of my content over the past, you will notice that I've specialized in gut health, in brain health, in immune function, and I looked down the route of functional medicine and became licensed as a health practitioner last year. Finally, after practicing it um, in the guise of insurance, obviously, but after practicing it for a long while and being massively interested in it, and working with a lot of clients on the base of it. And one of the reasons for that is my own specific journey into intolerances, having migraines, having fatigue, having been diagnosed with IBS or IBD, different things that have gone on over my life. And it had actually been up until Saturday, after getting regular migraines from different food reactions and different stress levels, I hadn't had a migraine for over 2 years, just over 2 years. Now, what used to happen before was I would get migraines multiple times a month, maybe one migraine a week, one migraine every couple of weeks, something like that, through different stresses that were going on. And what actually happened was that the last time I had a migraine, basically, I cut gluten out of my diet. I very rarely have dairy. I'd be pretty much following the diet of whole foods all the time. And the last time I had a migraine was when I went to New York, end of April, start of May 2019. We were celebrating our anniversary, and I just thought, hang on, I'm just going to go full, not full douchebag mode, but full I don't really care mode and have whatever I wanted. So I went there on the Friday night we got there. I think I had nachos delivered. Saturday morning, we had a nice big breakfast. We had nachos for lunch, and then, no, Homer Simpson burger at Ellen Stardust for lunch, and then nachos for the evening, it was breakfast nachos the next day. So I had loads of nachos, had some gluten, had loads of dairy, and then add that to then flying home on the Monday. We then had the differences in time. So I started feeling a bit drowsy, a bit like started getting auras in my eye and floaters, and to the point where I couldn't actually see out the center of my eye. So that was the first migraine. Wasn't massively that bad. However, I then had 5 other migraines that week getting back with the stresses of extra food, the stresses of jet lag, getting back into a routine. And on that Friday, I finally went to the doctors, considering I hadn't had a migraine before that for 2.5 years and had no medication. We used to have them very regular, and we used to have medication. And one of the things that happened in our family is that when I was 15, my dad actually passed away from a migraine. He had a migraine, and then that went on and he had a stroke. So when we'd had migraines, we kind of all got very cautious and very paranoid that there would be something else going on. I get them regularly. My sister gets them regularly. There have been other members of my dad's side of the family that gets them regularly. My brother does. It's just something which has happened, and we've always linked it to that. So that was where I really said and made this commitment that, hey, I'm not going to have gluten at all. No matter what the occasion, I'm just going to cut gluten out. Because to me, that feeling of feeling crap for that week was not worth having those extra foods for that weekend. Some people will feel different. But when you make this decision to cut a certain food group out, first off, you have to really be really kind of strict to look at ingredient lists in the food. Look that it's not just saying wheat or gluten, it's barley, rye, all these different things. Then we have cross contaminants like decaf coffee or instant coffee. Potentially those sorts of things could cross react. Corn, certain things in wine, like certain things could cross react. So saying that you're going to cut something out, going to cut this food out, makes a massive difference in someone's life. And everything was fine. Everything was totally fine. And then we had a little bit of extra stress over the last couple of weeks, added to the year's worth of stress with the pandemic, which everyone's been facing. And then Friday, we went out for brunch for my birthday. I asked for gluten-free, but I was a little suspicious with some of I love ketchup. The ketchup wasn't a normal ketchup. And now one of the things that happens is that they're not going to bring the bottles out for people. Like for some reason, they have it in these little, they either have sachets, which you can see exactly what it is. Usually Heinz ketchup is gluten free, but in little glass bowls. So they brought the ketchup out, and stupidly, I did not ask if that had gluten in it, and I just had it as normal. I had my breakfast, had gluten-free bread, had eggs, didn't have my avocados, had some bacon, like just basic stuff, which was all gluten-free, no dairy in there, and everything seemed to be fine. And the reason I'm doing this is because I really want people to understand what an intolerance or a reaction to a food actually feels like. In my case, how it resonated in my body and how it played out. So that was about 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m. we had that. And then we went and walked around the city. We went to a museum. It was a really nice day. And then I started feeling really lethargic, kind of lightheaded. And that was around 3:30, 4 p.m. And then was a little bit bloated. And I just said, look, I need to have a lie down. We're going out with my family to a pub, having a nice meal inside, which we haven't had since before Christmas. And it's the first time we can do that. So had a little lie down, went there, and just was feeling very, very bloated. And did have my birthday cake, and my family had come to realize that now they just accept it. So I used to deprive myself of foods because of the bodybuilding side of things. If I don't have a food now, it's because something else is going on. It's the gluten, the dairy, or something like that in there. But I felt a little bloated, and I said, look, you guys have the birthday cake. They ate the cake. Obviously, it was so hard for them to have extra chocolate cake, and I didn't have any, but they had the cake, and I was just feeling really, really bloated. Went to bed that evening and just, had a really deep night's sleep. Saturday morning came along and I was feeling extra fatigued. And I still didn't even think anything about a food being the intolerance until I started looking back, because cut my gym session that day, went to the supermarket, and all of a sudden my eyes started getting rings around the actual vision. And if you've ever had migraines, you'll realize what I mean with this. It was going like a hemiplegic migraine. So I was getting auras, the center of my eyes I could not see, the outside of my eyes. Managed to text my wife and said, look, I need to come home, cut the shopping, come home, because I'm getting a migraine. And then I get in the car. That was a little bit stupid. I should really got her to drive home. But at the time, I was safe enough to drive to see. But if it was a longer journey, we literally lived 2 minutes away from the store. And I couldn't feel my hand. I'm touching my fingers. What's going on here? Touching my fingers like. And then I realized that it was a much more serious than just a simple migraine, and that it was linked to the food that I had the day before. I got home, head was throbbing, arm just was numb. I had to basically take all the shopping in on my one arm on the right hand that I'd managed to get, and literally slept for the whole day. And I felt really, really bad for it. And then what people do when they get super fatigued, regardless of intolerances or anything like that, what people do is your body starts craving loads of carbs or craves things, just sugars and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to eat some chocolate. And usually at these times, that when our body craves these times, that is probably the worst time to have them. And we have to put those two and two together to link those up. And that is one of the biggest repercussions of feeling crap. And then Sunday morning happened. I was still feeling really lethargic, had another rest day. And honestly, like looking back on Saturday, like it was the symptoms of having a stroke, because you have your numb hand, your face feels a little bit numb, weakness in my body, had pins and needles in my leg, and just really lethargic. If I didn't know what those migraines felt like, I would have thought it was something a lot more serious. But what the point of this video is, and I'm still feeling lethargic now. After this video, I'm literally just having a day to chill out, refill my tank. What the point of this is that certain things happen in our life when it comes to foods that we eat that react on our body. Now, I feel a little bit crap today. The food that I ate was on Friday. Saturday, Sunday has been not too bad with food. The food that I ate was on Friday. Now, still feeling a little bit low, a little bit fatigued, a little bit lethargic. Then, if we're having this food on a Friday and we don't know what it is and we don't have that awareness of it, it gets really hard to actually pinpoint that down. So when I work with clients and we look at intolerance or anything like this, people say, oh, they don't have a problem with food. They don't have a problem with bread. We don't have a problem with dairy, with processed food, with whatever it is, because it can be so many different foods. One of the problems is that when I used to have these foods all the time, this was a normal feeling. So feeling normal, that flatline feeling of feeling low, feeling lethargic, feeling depressed, that was a normal feeling. I did not know what it was like to feel really, really good. So when I have those foods now without realizing, because no matter how good restaurants are, there is still potential for cross-contamination. It is a gamble that we take if we have some form of intolerance and we go to a restaurant. They have it in their small print. This food is prepared in places where they have wheat or gluten or nuts. So if you have allergies, like tell the server, tell the waiter, the waitress, whatever it is, tell the server that you have these allergies so they can try their best. But even when they try their best, there is still potential for cross-contamination. Therefore, try your best, but be aware that sometimes when you do feel lethargic, when you do feel low, when you do feel unmotivated, that there is usually another underlying reason. And I think it's so important to be aware of what these foods can do, because you do not, I mean, you do not have to be diagnosed as a celiac to have problems with gluten. You may have certain sensitivities to certain foods at different times of your life. You could be stress level from 1 to 10, stress like a 10. You can't even have a bit of broccoli because you're that stressed and your body just doesn't like it. And that's where being self-aware comes into its own. Like, we really need to look into that. This isn't a video to sell my coaching or anything like that. Again, if you have questions of that, message me. This is simply a video doing a live just to tell you that this is what happened over the weekend. I'm a guy that knows his shit when it comes to intolerances, when it comes to what certain foods do to the body. But these things do still happen. Then what happens as a result? Awareness to know that tomorrow I'm going to feel much, much better. Because Friday was the day where it started. Saturday was the worst. Sunday was a little bit bad. And then today I'm just feeling fatigued. Tomorrow should be pretty much out of the system. I've done the work on my system to be able to detoxify toxins, to be able to get it really healthy. If I hadn't done that, we're probably looking at 5, 6, 7 days of feeling pretty sluggish and feeling down, then skin problems and all these different things that can come out of it. But if you are feeling low, if you are feeling unmotivated, if you are feeling like you just want to eat crap, you're not sleeping through the night, there is going to be a specific reason for it. If you're someone that consistently has migraines, believe me, as I say, when I worked in the corporate world, I was having them 1, 2, 3 times a month, as I was saying. Now, this is the first time I've had a migraine for 2 years and a month, basically. Start of May, end of April 2019 was the last time I had a migraine. Before that, 2.5 years. Before that, that was the time I used to have them every single week. As I say, like when I worked in the insurance, in the corporate world, I had them every single week. I've done the work on my body to make sure I do not suffer from them every single week. So if you are having migraines consistently, simply look at certain things. You've heard me talk about blood glucose management. You've heard me talk about consistency with your routine. You've heard me talk about your sleep quality. And you've heard me talk about literally about gluten and dairy, and just try it. Like, don't not cut these things out because you don't want to cut out bread. Like, if you're cool with saying that I like bread more than I like feeling good, then fine, leave that bread in. But just try cutting that gluten out for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. Don't have processed gluten-free stuff like that time. Just literally cut it out. You don't need the bread. You don't need the pasta. Like, there are other things you can have, and see the difference in how you feel. I guarantee that if you are suffering from some of these things, cutting out certain foods like that, maybe some other ones, look at low FODMAP, look at the autoimmune AIP diet, look at the autoimmune protocol, autoimmune paleo, all these different things, like all these different things are going to help you when it comes to cutting out a lot of the foods that trigger people. And you will have times, as I say, like you still feel a little bit crap. I feel crap right now. I've got a little bit of brain fog going on, but simply knowing that it was something that I had on Friday morning, doing the things now, even though, yes, I ate some crap on Saturday because I felt like a little bit crap, but I still feel a little bit rubbish right now. So I could eat crap right now. I'm not going to. I'm going to eat the foods that are going to fuel my body and allow me to get the nutrients in that improves my digestion and allows me to move forward from there. So please, 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 if you suffer from these certain things, you can message me if you want. But more importantly than that, just look at the food you're eating. Start to really look in the mirror, start to love yourself and say, look, I'm going to cut these foods out and make that a conscious effort to do it. And like, I'm pretty certain you'll start seeing some improvements. Have a great day. Tomorrow, I will be doing the live that I was supposed to do on Thursday that I done without any sound. It's showing their sound on this one, so I bloody hope there is sound on this one. I will be doing the live tomorrow, talking about fatigue, talking about the lethargy. Like, really good to come on after this one because I'll be feeling much better then tomorrow.